Hi all, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the link between ADHD and the menopause. This is something that is having quite a lot of clinical research at the moment because not a lot is known about it. What you may have noticed yourself is that a lot of women are being diagnosed with ADHD in the sort of menopausal years, sort of the 40s and 50s. Um, so, one of the reasons for that is actually because typically and historically, it was always thought that ADHD was just a boys' thing. Girls didn't really get ADHD, people thought. ADHD, the symptoms were just jumping up and down on your seat, not being able to sit still in class. So now that much more is known about ADHD and how it can affect your brain and how it can affect women in different ways, in sort of in a more inattentive way rather than the jumping around. So more women in general are diagnosed a lot later. So that's one thing. The other thing is, one thing that's known about women who have ADHD, the menopause can be a really difficult time for them, and this is due to uh, a drop in estrogen. And some of the usual symptoms of ADHD, such as brain fog and overwhelm, are obviously symptoms of the menopause as well. So it's an absolute double whammy for women with ADHD when they're perimenopausal or menopausal. Um, and then the other thing is, a lot of women seem to, if they've always perhaps been sort of borderline ADHD or suspected they might have ADHD, and just put it down to the fact, possibly earlier in life, that they were disorganised and just sort of beat themselves up, not realising that actually not their fault. They just happened to be neurodiverse rather than neurotypical. Um, so a lot of people are now realising that, okay, this is ADHD. I think this is ADHD. So it's really interesting. I've just noticed myself that loads of women in the 40s and 50s are wanting to be diagnosed, have a diagnosis just to, um, I guess it's kind of bittersweet in a way, because it'll sort of explain reasons why they might not reach their potential in life, whether it's been with relationships, due to emotional dysregulation, or not being able to reach their potential at work because they missed deadlines, or they were just too unorganized, or branded as being lazy, and they didn't quite ever know why they were like that, because hard as they tried, something didn't quite fit. Sometimes some things didn't work. However hard they tried, they'd still be late, or they'd still be disorganised, or they still wouldn't be able to find the set of keys. So it's kind of it's obviously a personal decision, but people are wanting to have that formal diagnosis just to kind of explain, I suppose, things that might have happened earlier in their life. And of course, it's never ever too late to get a diagnosis or to sort of make positive changes, or just understand yourself a bit better. It's all part of your personal life journey, and I think it can be very empowering receiving a diagnosis. Obviously, once that is done, then there are different options available, and there's obviously medication, which is another route that people make a very personal decision on. Some people think, well, I've managed this long without, I've got my own coping strategies and strategies for getting through things, I don't need it. Whereas other people are overwhelmingly happy that they can try some medication that might make a huge difference. But that, of course, is a very personal decision and would only be taken under the guidance of a physician. And normally it's very tailor-made to the individual depending on your main symptoms or obstacles that your ADHD presents for you. So if you are of a menopausal age and you're thinking, actually, I seem to be suffering worse than some people, you might not be getting the physical symptoms of the night sweats, the hot flushes, but if you are just feeling massive amount of brain fog and overwhelm, as I say, these are symptoms of the menopause as well, so it doesn't mean at all, I'm not saying that it means you do have ADHD, but if you're kind of finding some of it a bit harder than other people, and then you look back and think, okay, looking back on earlier in my life, I've never, I've always procrastinated way more than other people. I left deadlines until the night before, even for, possibly university dissertations and sort of extreme examples like that. Then you may want to have a little think of maybe you are somebody that does have ADHD. There's plenty of things to look at online, basic questionnaires, but obviously what you need to do is see your GP in the first instance if you do want to take it further. They'll give you print off some questionnaires and give to you. So that's the first stage. You might decide after looking at the questionnaires, even if you feel you have ADHD, you might feel, I don't want to take this any further. I don't want a diagnosis for whatever reason. Obviously, it's a very personal decision. Or you might think, actually, this is interesting. Your GP will then send the forms off if they think there is a chance that you may have ADHD. And then it's taken from there, really. There is a big wait post-COVID to be seen. I think obviously there's the ability to be seen privately, depending on how much you feel it is affecting your life and affecting your health. But it can have a really, really negative effect. The biggest the highest suicide rate with women is actually at the sort of menopausal age of 40s and 50s. So it's a really, really hard time for women, because got maybe parents are elderly perhaps, and you've still got children to raise perhaps, things like that. Most people have still got a mortgage. So even with these life things, having this extra anchor weighing you down on top with the menopause and then potentially ADHD as well is absolutely huge. So you may feel you want some support either from family or friends, or from your doctor or a therapist while you sort of manage this whole process. I think that can be absolutely invaluable as well. So I'm going to be doing a few more videos on this from the research that I've been looking into, because it's really interesting. I think we'll just see more and more about ADHD and the menopause. It's just sort of breaking now, and the research is only going to get more, and we're just going to hear a lot more about it, I think, generally in the news. So this is just a little introduction, and if you are interested, please press like and subscribe, and I will put many more videos about this subject out there. If you are going through any of this at the moment, then do take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, and you'll get through it. Take care. Bye for now.